Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. This is Andy. And for reference, it is Thursday, October 12th, 4:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 in the Central Time Zone. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. A day before Friday the 13th.
Uh-oh. That's spooky.
It's never good.
That's never good. Friday the 13th. It's going to be full moon out by you, or what's going on with that?
It could be. We're not even close to how... Didn't something happen to you on Friday the 13th in your past?
It did. It's in the past, which is where it's going to stay because, we're here in the present, and that's why it's a gift. You're staying in the present.
For good reason.
Staying at home. I'm going to be in my basement. Maybe not in my basement. I don't know. But what are you going to do?
Enjoy the fall weather that Michigan has brought to us.
Like a Frito pie. I bet you're gonna wear. Let me guess. A black shirt, black coat, jeans.
Well, it's supposed to be 44 degrees and raining, so I don't know. We'll see.
What are you gonna do? How's harvest going, by the way?
Good. I mean, if it would stop raining, I think it'd be going a lot better for people. But everybody that I talked to has better corn than we thought we'd have because of the drought in June. When we got to that point, everybody was super nervous what was going to happen to the crop. I'd say 95% of the people that I've talked to have had better corn this year than they did last year, from what they're telling me.
Okay. I was just wondering how it's going at your area.
I got to go up there tomorrow and help out. So
fair enough.
But before we get to that, we have 4 charts today, all dairy spot related.
All spot, all day. Spot markets. Let's go.
I like that one.
You like this one? This is the block market. CME cheddar block. CME cheddar block. What do you think here, boss?
I mean, hey, down at that $1.70 mark where you'd drawn that line from last time. I mean, give or take a little bit. And we haven't had that much movement on the block this week, right? I mean, I don't know if we've moved hardly at all.
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't, right? And so I guess what sticks out to me is that you have this, like, if you omit this because we broke and came back relatively quickly when you look at this chart, right? I mean, I know it's a weekly, but we keep bumping up against like this downward trend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So what could be interesting here is if, there's been some talk about, blocks being a little bit more plentiful, potentially coming back to the exchange, et cetera, right? And so if we start to see that come to the exchange, here we are at around $1.70. Do we go test this former low? I don't think so, Richard. This seems like a stretch. $1.30? What do you think?
Well, I think $1.30 would be a little bit of a stretch, but at that gap at $1.43, maybe not so much of a stretch, right?
Okay. Either way, I think what you end up seeing is a failure to put in a new low, right? We're going to test it. Like I don't think we go down and test $1.30. I think they can chip away at the block here a little bit, but I think what we end up seeing is basically a higher low. Are we getting ready to do it?
Chart sure looks like we are.
Are we getting ready to do it? What if we did that? What if domestic demand's pretty good here throughout the, what is it? Early October, Friday the 13th tomorrow. Sorry. What if, Super Bowl holiday stuff, pizza for football, all that stuff. What if it's like not bad, right? And we're just kind of hover around $1.65. Like I said, it does feel like they could take the block down a little bit here. I just don't think we're going to go test any of this stuff, right? Between 150 and like 130 here. I mean, you're kind of eyeballing this gap. But for the most part, I think we can all agree that like this low is not going to necessarily be tested.
Right.
So if that's the case, technically, then you see a higher low, and that type of formation, let's say you go retest this line here, this downward trend that's been in place since April 2022. That would be a significant breakout. And if you're going to do that, doing it on a higher low like that, that's like technically significant, right?
But at that point, you're talking $2 blocks, right? Give or take from where you have that drawn.
Depends on when yeah, sure. I mean, somewhere in there, right? This price is just shy of $2 if it was to do it kind of in this area. It also depends on when it happens, right? The longer this persists, this just keeps going lower and lower, right?
Yeah.
So this is more like $1.92 over here, where this is $2. So yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like to me, where they chip away at the block a little bit more. We start to maybe get some export business booked. And then we walk into 2024 with a little bit less milk on hand, and we go test this again. I just think a breakout here, I think a breakout of this downward trend would be pretty significant in the market.
I agree.
So something to be mindful of.
I agree.
Something to be mindful of. I don't know. Which one do you want to do next?
Want to just roll right down the script there?
Roll right down the script. Why? I'll tell you why. Here's Whey.
Ooh, dry Whey.
Whey looks good.
Whey looks good.
I like Whey. I think Whey's got some potential here to get going.
What did we trade today? 21 loads?
Traded quite a bit of Whey. Please.
Is that a breakout of the downward?
It sure looks like one, Richard.
Look at that.
Richard. Yeah, I mean, you built a nice base here, right? And we've seen a ton of volume change hands here. I mean, how many loads traded today? It's close to 20.
I honestly think there was 20. Well,
yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point, right? And so and if you look at some of these secondary stuff too, oversold back when we got down into here, right here. And, it since came back. That's a buy signal, or it's at least a confirmation that, or excuse me, like that's a bullish confirmation right there when we get into oversold and come back out. Now you've broken out of this trend. And if we settle here, this will be the highest weekly settle that we've seen since May.
Beginning of May?
Yeah. Yikes.
So here's my question. Here is my question to you with this bullish confirmation. Do you think we go back to that 45-cent number where we chopped around from July to April-ish?
I do. Yeah. I think all this noise is where we're going to go. All this junk, right? And just go trade in this range, right? Because like here, this little doji right here, this little guy. Mm-hmm. Let me blow this up for you. Bam. Right there. So we're back over that price. Like with this area that was once that it was support became resistance. It's now it feels like it wants to be supported again, but the market doesn't like to sit still at this price, right? When it crossed here, it was promptly on its way down to 22 cents. So I think you got to be really mindful of that and just say, like, again, we're getting a ton of volume changing hands. The momentum has shifted into being positive. You were in oversold territory. That's no longer the case, and you're climbing up out of that. And you've broken what looks like a very big major trend. Mm-hmm. So a settlement, let's say tomorrow we settle unched. Doesn't even have to go up. It's going to be unched. It'll be a higher settle since early May. And if we got an open higher the next week, you get a confirmation of that settlement and breakout of this downward trend. I think we go back into all this junk right in here, all this noise. I think it becomes a magnet. So what is like the mid here? 45-ish? 44, 45?
Which you're talking 10 cents on Whey, 10, 12 cents.
Yeah. And from a class 3 basis, what's just 10 times 6 cents a pound, or excuse me, 6 cents in class 3 is 1 cent a pound in Whey equivalent. Is that right? Yeah. So 10 cents a Whey, that's 60 cents in class 3. I mean, you go from 30, low 30s to mid to high 40s. You're going to tack on quite a bit to class 3. It's not small, right? And like the market for the while here has just been in this like low end. It's almost like it has been, I don't say immaterial, but it hasn't had as much relevance. But you don't I guess just think about it, like you don't need to move cash at all. Like the cash cheese market to potentially add 60, 70 cents on the current cash number for class 3. That's really, I mean, I think this could be kind of a sneaky chart here that for class 3 sneaks up on people, sneak attack. This one I think is really interesting. This one I think can get a little bit explosive, especially with all the volume that we've been seeing. And how many bidders were there today, by the way?
A lot. We had a lot. I mean, there was definitely. What do we have? More than 8 there.
You had to scroll down on the CME direct auction to actually see all the bidding. So yeah, I think we're getting ready to see what we've seen it in cheese before, right? Where like early this year, the barrel traded a boatload at within a relatively tight range, and then we take off on no volume. I think we're going to see that in Whey here. So let's go Whey. Here's a one that also looks a little bit perky. This is spot Nonfat. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think, what is it? The back of the envelope math is that if, take the price of Nonfat divided by 3, you get the price of Whey. I think that's the case. So if that's true, then 122 Nonfat, I can't do that math. Can you? 122 divided by 3 is 40.666 repeating.
There you go.
So
there we go.
I like this one. The one I want to point out here was this yellow line. Or it's more like orange. It's kind of like a pumpkin color. Is this pumpkin one? What do you think? By the way, are you gonna carve pumpkin and put it on your porch, by the way? At your house?
I am.
Did you decorate this year or what?
I am going to this weekend.
Decorate your house. Come on.
I'm excited.
It's for the kids.
I'm excited
What's your pumpkin face going to be, by the way, when you carve one?
I don't know.
Do you like the scary ones? Do you like the not scary ones?
Probably the not scary. We want to be very nice to everybody in the neighborhood. So
okay. There's this whole like we again, by the way. It's like the editorial we. We, the editorial we, I. Like
we signify as a team. It's not just I, it's we.
Okay.
It's a very nice way of saying it.
You didn't understand that movie reference at all, did you?
No.
We? I. The royal we. The editorial.
All right, forget it. All right, so we closed over this pumpkin one here, which is the 50, it's a simple moving average. It's the last 50 periods, right? In this case, weeks. So it's I think that's significant. You see some of these moving averages, especially for like some of the bigger products like S&P 500, like it becomes kind of like a magnet, right? 200-day moving average, 50-day moving average. I just think it's interesting that we closed, if we can settle here today, or tomorrow, we don't have to go up, right? Just need to settle at this price. Then we will have closed over this moving average for the first time since July of 22. I think that is technically significant there. And then I think like what that will lead to is us heading into this 130 number, which is kind of where futures are already telling us we're going to go out forward. So non-fat looks like it's got some room to go.
Can you call that a double bottom down to $1.08?
Sure feels like one, Richard.
Right? I mean, I know there's going to be some people that say there is no such thing. Kind of like the double top that you look back into 2022.
I think you could certainly argue double tops and bottoms exist. I think it's the triple top and bottoms that people say don't exist.
Okay, there you go.
But to your point, double top here, bam. I don't know. Do we retrace all this? I don't know about that. But like a 30% retrace. I mean, look at that. $1.40 takes us back. And that's just a third of it. It's just a small, not a small portion, but a relatively small retracement of this big move.
And if your math is correct on the non-fat to whey ratio, that would be 48 cents in dry whey.
48 cents. Okay, so let's just hold, please.
Right. So 144 divided by 3.
That takes you back to the top end of all this junk, all this noise.
Right, exactly.
And it feels like we're going there. So let's go.
Yeah, we just figured something out.
We just, you know what? Maybe you should make like a whey pumpkin. No, forget that. I'm just surprised. I did not peg you for like a nice pumpkin face. Like I thought you would have been like, scary teeth and like you turning over a new leaf.
Turn over a new leaf in life.
Okay. Well, I mean, just put some. I'll send you a picture of some of my decorations. Get some decorations going. They're fun. All right, last one. Speaking of
last but not least.
Speaking of yikes, this one can be a little bit spooky for Halloween. What's interesting is, so typically when you look at like this gap became a pretty big magnet, right? And this is one of the gaps that I remember we talked a little bit about, but it already got filled by all this, right? So I think it's tough to look at this one, but I think that said, what about this guy right there? Yeah. That one, I think what we're about to see here is basically, so this candle settled at 350. This is a monthly, right? So we still have several weeks. You could basically just retrace this entire move, right? If you engulf this candle right here and settle at like 290 or something like that. This one settled not 290, excuse me. So this is a 350 settle. This is a 330 settle. Let's say you settled at, 329 or something. Like you actually breached this candle and engulfed this one. I think this turns into what did you called it? Like it's instead of a V bottom, what's the inverse of that? You call it like a house or something?
No, we called it a peak last time, right?
A peak? A rooftop?
Did we call it a peak?
A-frame, if you will?
Rooftop.
A rooftop. Do you say roof or roof?
Rooftop.
Roof. Anyways.
If that happens and we go back down to $3, would this turn into a cup and handle?
It could. That could be that one. You see, that could be pretty dicey.
If we came all the way back down there, would that be the formation?
It could. I need to. I don't know. We got to figure that out. But I don't want to say that just yet because I think you got to go fill that gap, and it could turn into a bit of a free fall.
All right, so we are going to do a little research on the cup and handle, see what the next couple of weeks brings us, at least into the next Tech Talk next week, and kind of go from there on this one on butter.
That sure sounds good. In the meantime, please get that house decorated.
Get the house decorated.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Friday the 13th.
That's right.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do what Andy did on the Friday the 13th, everybody. Don't go there. It's in the past. But We appreciate everybody watching. We had no one write in for any requests this time. If you guys have any for next week, please let us know. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, be smart. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.